Taxi vlog 294, I'm convinced. I'm guessing. Okay, well, it's the 7th of March already, and the nights are getting a little warmer now. They're not quite freezing anymore. I think it got down to, it feels warmer, you know, and maybe not quite as damp as it was up till now. We had some good rains a couple nights ago. I mean, it rained hard. Maybe it rained itself out. I hope so. So yeah, it's getting a little warmer out there. You know, the first week of the month is always arguably the slowest week of the month, and I came out on Monday night not expecting a lot, and really, you know, it didn't really get going until after 10 or so. And then it got pretty quiet, but you know, I still managed to get a few fares in there, and I made myself a few dollars. And at about, well, just before 4 in the morning, I got this call, and the guy went out to the airport, so that saved my Monday night. And then Tuesday night, for some reason, was quite a bit busier. Tuesday night was quite a bit busier, and I did really alright. I did as well as the Monday. I did as well as I had done the night before with an airporter, but I didn't need an airporter to get that amount. So, like, Tuesday was, you know, a pretty steady night. It just moved along rather well. Can't complain there. Wednesday, it rained like a son of a bitch. I got to work late. I got to work at 7 rather than at 6. And it didn't matter because I was getting one call right after another. And the first 3 or 4 hours I didn't stop. And they were long calls too. And, you know, by midnight I was doing okay. And then after midnight it slowed down somewhat. And it took until 6 in the morning to make another, you know, $50. But that doesn't matter. The Wednesday was a good night, all in all. Then last night I came out, and it's like, uh-oh, I came out late again. I came out at 7, or was it 6:30? 6:30. And you know, it took me until 1 in the morning or later, I think it was 2 in the morning, to break even. And then at around 2:30 I had a call, and she went from the gorge out to Belmont Park, which is like the military housing out in Colwood. And that was good for like $24, but she gave me $30. And then I came back into town, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna, damn it, itchy nose thing got itchy just because I'm vlogging, I guess. Of course, we've had that happen many times. And I got back into town and I fell asleep. I was reading my book. This book I got here, it's called Son of Man by Robert Silverberg. It was published over 40 years ago, but I got it at the used bookstore. You know, it's strange when the used bookstore price is more than twice what the price is stamped on the book, because it's so old. You know, a book says it's $1.25 back in 1970, and I think I paid $3.50 for the book. Now it would cost $10 new, you know, if it were still being published. Anyway, it's a pretty interesting story about this man who finds himself in someplace, and reality and what's fantasy, it becomes a big blur. And the guy's frolicking around with a bunch of fairies, and there's a lot of sex going on. It's entertaining, it's mind candy. So I'm enjoying that quite a bit. And where was I? Was I on Thursday already? Yeah. I fell asleep reading the book. And then I had another call. It was a bunch of young kids who were partying. It was almost 4 in the morning and they wanted to go out to Langford. And that was 31 or so on the meter. They gave me 35. And on the way back from Langford, I got a call to a gas station on the side of the highway. And they came to another gas station that was closer into town for another 15 bucks. So it's like those 3 fares saved my night. And then after that last one, I didn't have anything. I sat around for about an hour reading, and I read some more of the Silverberg, Son of Man, and then went home and did my exercises at BackFit. Came home again and started looking at Google Earth, and I was, Google Maps and Google Earth and satellite images and street views of places I used to live when I was a kid. It's wild. Yeah, I enjoyed doing that. And of course, lay down on the floor and the bunnies were climbing all over me and they were sniffing at my arms and they were sniffing at my nose and the little whiskers were tickling me. Bunnies are great. So then after a couple good shots of scotch, I went to bed and I woke up late. Cindy wasn't home. There was a rack of clothes in the middle of the living room. I don't know what she gets up to sometimes. She was asking me to bring a mirror in from her van. I guess we'll do that tomorrow. And so I warmed up some leftovers, got ready, and I'm out here. It's Friday night. Just had one fare with giggling Mexican schoolgirls. Took them from the mall back to the boarding school where they live. And so it's the beginning of the Friday night. And I'll get back to you in the wee small hours of the morning. Let you know how it went. Hope yours is better than mine. Oh no, I'll say that later. No. I'll get back to you in the morning. How's that? Okay, it's after work now. I told you I'd get back to you after work or in the morning hours. Well, I'll tell you how the Friday went. Pardon me just a moment. I'll be right back. Gotta have a beer after work. Because, you just gotta. Cheers. Okay. So, after I recorded the bit that you just saw, I went and had a call right away. And after that call, I had another, and another, and another, and another. And I didn't have trouble from anyone. I just had a lot of calls, one after another, one after another, one after another, until about 1 o'clock, when things sort of slowed down. And then I got sent to a bar on the gorge. And usually when I get sent to that bar, the people are waiting right outside the bar. But this time, there was nobody waiting right outside the bar. So and there was no phone number. It just said direct line. So I had to go up into the bar and look for the person. And as I'm getting there are people standing at the bar saying that, oh, that guy must be the cab driver. I mean, I look like a cab driver after 21 years in the business, right? I mean, there's no choice. And they said, who's it for? And I said, it's for, and I gave the name of the person. Oh, excuse me. I gave the name of the person, and they pointed to someone who was sitting over there. I walked up to her and I said, you need a taxi? And she was all, fucked up drunk. Like, fucked up drunk. And I made a conclusion right away. If you're going to be fucked up drunk, you're unfit to travel. So I just got in the car, did a code 71, which is an undesirable customer code, and drove away. I went back to the parking lot where I usually sit, and I pulled out my book and started to read again. About 5-10 minutes later, I get sent back to the same bar. Nah, reject. I'm not taking you. I don't care. I've had enough of that place. I'm driving across the speed humps and around. Forget it. I'm not going. So I didn't go. Then I got sent to another call, and this one was at the Fox Pub. The Fox Pub is like what they call a showroom pub. It's basically a nude bar, or a peeler bar, a ripper bar, a titty bar, a topless bottomless bar. Okay. Now the funny thing about these kind of places is when I was a lad and just old enough to get into these places, they were called gentlemen's clubs. There was a doorman, you'd tip him a couple dollars and he'd seat you. He'd find you a seat. And it was all only men who were in there. It was a gentleman's club. But this was also back in Montreal. A funny phenomenon had happened to these gentlemen clubs is that I don't know if it's a West Coast thing, or I used to go to them here years ago when I first moved out here. We're talking about in the 90s, the early 90s. And now, I'd say nearly half of the people who goes to these bars are women. And I'm going, okay, are you there just to be with your boyfriend who's there? I mean, I would have my qualms about bringing Cindy into such a place. It's just, I guess in my generation, God, do I sound old now? I guess in my generation, it was just not done. You went to a gentleman's bar to see titties and drink some beer, which brings back Frank Sinatra, not Frank Sinatra. Fuck, I'm not quite that old. Frank Zappa song, titties and beer. So I picked up these 3 boys who were, I don't know why when they come out of a place like that, they have to be rude. And there was another girl that came up to us as they were climbing in the car and said, can you call another cab? And the guy in the back seat said, fuck off, whore. Just like that. It's like, wow, just because you've seen women take their clothes off, you can be rude? I don't know. Anyway, the 3 boys, I will call them boys because they behaved like, 12-year-olds. They gave me an address to go to, and I was going there. Meanwhile, the girl in the back, who was, in the back right corner, she was being quieter and quieter and quieter. And then towards the end, the 3 boys get out, and she pays with her debit card. And she says, oh, please excuse the boys, and then they start rocking the car. But it's only 3 of them, so they can't exactly turn us over. But they're shaking the car, or maybe somebody's humping the car. I don't know what, but my gosh, when I was going to peeler bars, I was still respectful of people and their property and things like that. So she's saying, please excuse, my boyfriend and his buddies and so on and so on. And I said, right there, my standard answer for people who try and make excuses for their friends who are drinking, I say there are some people who should not drink, and I'll drink to that. So she ended up paying for these rude and crass boys for the trip. And then it was kind of, not so busy. I was doing 2 or 3 trips an hour, but not 5 or 6 like I had done before 1 o'clock. And I got a couple more short ones in the interim in the area. And so it was nothing special at that point. At 1 o'clock, I had almost $300 on, and I think it took me until 3 o'clock to get over $300 on. Well, then I had a couple more fares, and I went to the parking lot and met up with a friend of mine who was also driving a cab, naturally. Excuse me. Yeah, he's the guy who owns the cab that I used to drive last year. Not the van, but the car. And he's still a good friend of mine, And I had wondered what happened to him, why I hadn't seen him all week. Because he's driving my old shift because, he needed the money. And he said that he cracked a rib. And so he only came out on Wednesday and Friday. The rest of the week he was at home trying to get some sleep or trying to deal with the pain. And he told me what a phenomenal Wednesday night he had. And mine was pretty good, but he just came out and lucked out. He had a ride to the ferries, which is like a $60 fare. And when he was at the ferries, he got a flag. These guys who were out there didn't want to take the cabs that were sitting at the ferry. They wanted to take him. So he brought them back into town. And after he had brought them back into town, he gets another call to an apartment building. And there's actually, no, not an apartment building, but a gas station on a corner. And there's this woman with this bag. She wants to go to the late flight to Toronto, out to the airport. So I think in 5 hours, the guy made like $250. Like, thank you very much. And I was out there all night, and I made, I think, $220. So, and I put in a good 11 hours, and he did 5 hours, and he made more than I did. So it's a little bit competitive at times, and we talk about how did you do or what luck did you have. And just after that, I guess maybe his luck had worn off on me a little bit, and I got one call to take this guy out to Langford. So I took the guy out to Langford, and that was a good fare. I think it was about $30 or so. And just after I cleared from him, I got sent to another call nearby in Langford, and I picked that guy up, and he went almost to East Souk. He went to like where Humpback and Souk Road come together. You can Google Earth this if you really want to, but well, why should you? Suffice it to say that was almost another $30. So it's like, oh well, this is working out pretty good. And then I booted it back into town, and I had a few more, 2 or 3 more fares. So I ended up doing all right for the night. And it worked out pretty good. It's funny how the rhythm goes so good for a while. And you can be one after another, bang, 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 bang. And then something throws you off, Some drunk who you don't want in your car just throws the whole shooting match off. And then it changes the game. But then it comes back in the form of a couple of long fares later on. So, Cindy hasn't come home yet. She's taken the landlord upstairs out to dialysis because he's got, kidney problems. And he didn't have a ride today, so she took him over there. And I was expecting for her to come in the door over there while I'm doing this vlog, because she doesn't want you guys to see the mess back there, see all that. So, yeah, and we got her, now that I'm on this new computer here, we got her set up, no, back there. We got her set up back there on the laptop using the screen. I'm still not used to doing this in a non-mirror image. It's strange because you raise up your left hand and it's your right hand that is up. It's not a mirror image. Okay. So anyway, she's got her workstation set up over there, and I got mine over here, and so she's not on my computer, and I'm not, we're not fighting over it. Yeah, not much else to say, but I hope yours is better than mine, and I'll be back, next week or so. I can't say goodnight because the sun is shining out there. Good morning. Oh, hope yours is better than mine even.